morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Thank you so much for your patience, those of you who came bright up early at 9:30 a.m. I hope you have taken advantage of our continental breakfast and the good company that I see everyone networking. But we have a long day, and so I would like to begin the event, open it up. I think most of our speakers are here and ready, and I do see, a lot of our students, the most important people in today's program. And so welcome to the inaugural Black Diaspora Career and Care Summit. I am Rita Kiki Idowu. I'm a professor of global governance and international relations, and I am the faculty advisor to the Pan-African Graduate Student Association, platforming today's program. I'm also going to moderate today's program, so you'll be seeing me up and down up here quite often throughout the day. So there are 450 graduate and undergraduate students in our community who are graduating from UMass Boston in May, which is in about a week's time, 2025. And so congratulations to all of you who are, graduating. The Black Diaspora Career and Care Summit has been conceived as a student success extravaganza, we hope, for you, who are the many students in our community who we feel face unique, intersecting challenges throughout your career development journey. So our motto is empowering Black futures. The motto stems from our awareness that you face systemic barriers at every single stage of your career journey, preparing for the job market, succeeding with professional environments, and navigating post-graduating pathways. So what we've done is invited a range of guests and specialists and experts from the professional and the employment community, from UMass Boston and area universities, from the faculty community, UMass Boston administrators. We've convened all of them to foster and engage a meaningful connection and networking and resourceful opportunity for you today. We hope to empower you in ways that will help you gain knowledge, skills, and networks that will enable you to navigate systems that have traditionally excluded you. It's also our desire for the program to provide a surplus for existing university services in fostering a more equitable campus community. But other services that offer these services are the Division of Student Affairs, the Office of the Provost, the Office of Inclusive Excellence and Belonging, and the Chancellor's Office of Black Life, and the Academic Career Engagement Success Office, all who are here to provide you with those kinds of services as you graduate. We hope that the event will inspire you and help you to facilitate your next steps in your career journeys. We have a full day program for you. But before we begin and before I hand over to those experts, I'd like to call up your peers, but they are the brainchilds behind this program. Patricia Naya, PhD candidate, will you come up, please? She's in the College of Management. Adanna Kalejaye, PhD candidate. She's in the McCormick Graduate School in the College of Liberal Arts. And Rachel Inegbedian. She's a PhD student in the School of Global Inclusion and Social Development in the College of Education and Human Development. These three, your peers, and actually you as students are actually more advanced than them because you're graduating and they're not yet. But they are, your peers, they're the brainchildren of this program. They had a great, idea. They were inspired by their own experiences, and they applied for a grant from the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Excellence, and they got the grant and put on this program for you. So they want to say a few words of inspiration before we start the program, and so over to you, Patricia, Adanna, and Ray.
Thank you. Good morning to all of us. So I just wanted to more or less re-emphasize some of the elements that you've highlighted today that really motivated us to provide this as a gift to ourselves, but also to all of us here. And for me personally, as an organizational studies scholar, there are three really interrelated reasons that motivated me. One, as someone who studied race, as both a theoretical and analytical framework, I sort of conceptualize, what I've come to call the penalty of blackness, what you talked about, the systemic barriers. That both offers opportunities, but really challenges to, people that enters the job market with even equivalent or even superior qualifications struggle to get jobs. So sort of coming to see how organizations both offers the opportunity for us to try, but also with that there are challenges that comes with that. And to actually take opportunities of that, we hope today's event will provide that. The second one is actually who we are. I think UMass Boston is probably the heaven of the New England as one of the most diverse universities in the country, the most diverse in New England, but really serving over 20% of Black and African American students here. That really means so much. 57% of us are first-generation students, and we know what that actually offers to us. So those two reasons, and then my own personal reasons, as someone who I would say have been a bit successful in the academic journey, but also struggled in the job market. I'm not graduating with you today because I have struggled a bit in the market. So I sort of envisioned this program as a gift to myself. I hope I had this a year ago, but it's not too late. So I'm hoping that we would take advantage of today, not just as the strategies that we would be implementing as we go to the market, but also the communities that will be connecting today, and hoping that these are actually tools that we'll be using. So I hope we take advantage of today, and as I also take advantage of today as well. So good to have you here.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for all coming. So one of the things as a trained attorney I see myself as is being a voice for the voiceless. So as I go through challenges, I envision and ask myself, how do I make this into a pathway for other people, to learn from it and to encourage them and, shorten the journey for them. So this, is one of those opportunities. So I'd like to say congratulations to the graduating class of 2025. Your tenacity and resilience has brought you thus far and earned you this milestone. And as a committee and planning committee, we're incredibly, proud of your journey. As we all know, life is full of challenges, right? And for me, turning those pain into purposes, has been my guiding light. And this event is born out of, having to turn the pain and the challenges that we're facing, into a purpose. Patricia said, we have anticipated and real challenges when it comes to the workforce and navigating the workforce, and this summit has been born out of, that real and anticipated, challenge for us as, especially as Black graduating students or Black graduate students. It's been a privilege for my colleagues and I to, put together this, event, and I do hope that as we're going out into the, job market, we stand and embody the true essence of a beacon, which is, shining the light as we go, the light of equity, the light of, of resilience, of tenacity, and building for yourself, and being a light unto other people, shining the light for people, as you paying the path forward for other people. Thank you so much.
Yes. Good morning again, everyone. I just want to thank you all for being here. And to my colleagues, they've really done an amazing job. To Dean Kiki, thank you so much, Professor Kiki. So I think, for me, this summit is a movement, and I say this because we are discovering new ways to really move through our careers and really know how we could care for each other, especially, with all of this uncertainties that we're experiencing. And the world we're living in right now is really fast and demanding. And sometimes it's so confusing, especially for a lot of us, we Black students, international students, and those who are really unfamiliar with the events, that are happening. So this event is our honest attempt to kind of bring us together to share ideas and share that support and be together to talk about how not just jobs could help us push that livelihood that we're looking at, but also talk about how is it relevant to our life purpose? How does this really change the trajectory for our life? And so we know that success for us does not come from information alone. We understand all of that. However, I also believe that it also comes from people like all of us in this room who show up for each other. With that word, Ubuntu, we are here because, we are here for each other. I am here because of you, and you are here because of me. And so from those quiet connections that we're making and those side conversations, these practical tips that we'll be having today, I really would urge us, to take it very much seriously, because there's a lot of preparation here that would be coming, that would meet with our care, and where our individual stories will remind us that we're not alone. And so my little advice for us, as speaking to the students here and then to every one of us, is that we need to stay really open. We have to really ask those really hard questions, and we really need to find those ways that we could get clearer answers. And the goal here is to share what's helped us, and we're willing to listen to each other. And so I'm hoping that we could take really good notes. I'm hoping that we could also go to the extent of laughing out, laughing with good laugh, having good connections here, good friends. I'm also hoping that we could cry if we have to, because the truth is sometimes those silent tears could really give you an opening to what you need to see and do. And also hope that we could have much more strength from this event, and then more knowledge and wisdom so that we could navigate through that trajectory that we've been hoping for. So thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you to everyone who's made the sacrifice and to everyone who will be listening online as well. So God bless you. Yeah.
Thank you, all three of you. Great students, and it's been great working with them on this program. So now I am going to call back Patricia to introduce our first speaker.
It's an honor to introduce someone who doesn't actually need an introduction. We're going to have a welcome address by Kevin Hill, who is the Vice Chancellor, Inclusive Excellence and Belonging, and also the chair of the Restorative Justice Commission that funded this program. He's been here quite a long, and not that long, but one of the things that I have sort of learned from him in his short time here is that he's really committed to our success and doing everything to ensure that we succeed, and that we are seeing a manifestation of that here today. So with a hand of applause, let's welcome Kevin Hill.
So I know being the one that's late should not ask how much time I have. but I'm going to ask, how much time do I have? Take my time? All right. Well, how are you all today? You're looking good. All right. So one of the things that we just heard is that today we're going to step outside of our comfort zone, right? We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. We're going to enjoy each other's time. So I need you to do me a favor. We're going to get our blood flowing this morning. All right. How many of you all have ever heard of rock, paper, scissors? Oh my goodness, that is amazing. So what we're going to do, and let me give you some background, so a little bit about me. I know that when you look at me, you would probably not believe that I played Division III football. Well, yeah, you probably would believe I played Division III because I couldn't play Division I or II, but I played Division III football. But at off seasons, I was a yell leader. Everybody know what a yell leader is? So it is a male cheerleader. That is a male cheerleader. So I got a chance to be a male cheerleader when in college for our basketball program. So I love cheering my colleagues on. And today we're going to cheer each other on, but we're going to get practicing. And we're going to start by doing a little rock, paper, scissors competition. So at each of your tables, I need you to pick some people, and we're going to compete. And we're going to keep competing until we are down to 2 folk that are going to come up here and do a rock, paper, scissors competition. But as we do this, we're going to do something. We're going to do something. And I want you all to follow this direction, okay? You're going to become cheerleaders. So when you are not successful at rock, paper, scissors, you are going to join the cheer squad of that person that is moving on. So this table, you're going to start. You've got 4 people, so you're going to go and you're going to be in competition. Once you lose, Patricia, I'm claiming it, you're going to have someone that's going to cheer you on. And then once you all are done, you're going to go to the next table, and you're going to find that you all are going to be cheering your person on, and they're going to be cheering their person on until we're down to 2 rock, paper, scissors folk. And then we're going to come up here, and whoever ultimately wins is going to have the privilege of taking me to lunch. Does that make sense? All right, so I got like 2 minutes to make this happen. So people in the back of the room, pick the person that's going to be your person and start your competition. And we're going to go until we're down to 2 finalists. We're going to go until we're down to 2 finalists. And remember, the biggest part of this is we are going to cheer on our colleagues. So ultimately, we are going to have about 20 people on each side, and they're going to bring in the cheer. And we're going to make this room sound as loud and obnoxious and as amazing as I know we can. Are you ready? Yes. All right. On the count of 3, I want you to start your rock, paper, scissors competition. 1, 2, 3, go. Keep. Okay, cheer on. Now, okay, people, you got to move to the next table. You got to move to, once you got a champion at your table, you got to go to somewhere else. You got to find somebody else until we're down to 2 people. We got to get down to 2 people. Okay, scissors 1. You got to go find somebody to compete against. Go cheer. You got to be cheerleaders. You got to be cheerleaders. Follow your team. Follow your team. You got to be cheerleaders. You got to cheer for the person you lost to. You got to cheer. Okay. We should be getting narrowly down. We should be getting down to my last 2 folk. Are you cheering them on? Are you cheering them on? Woo! Okay, where we at? Where we at? Are we down to 2? Are we down to our final 2? Are we down to our final 2? Where are we at? Are we down to our final 2 yet? Okay. So we got to wait for, okay. Who won? Okay. All right, people. All right. What is your, okay, we got Brakita here, and what is your name, sir? Francis. Oh, we got one more. Where we got? Okay, who are you going against? Pick somebody to go. You got Brakita or you got Francis? Who are you going to go? All right, here we go. Whoa! Okay, now is our time that we're going to cheer each other on because we got your team. Where's your team? This is your team. All right, I want to hear, so help me out, brother.
So call me France.
France. Yeah. France. All right, you guys are cheering on France no matter what. This is France's time to fly. France, 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 France. And you, my friend, are Henry. And we got Henry. Henry, you got a bigger crowd. Don't be letting your people down, Henry. All right, Henry and France, on the count of 3, we got a rock, paper, scissors competition, and whoever wins is going to take me to dinner or lunch. All right, are you ready? Okay, whoa, woo. Oh! Rock beats scissors. Congratulations, Henry. Woo! Henry didn't even know he won. He didn't even know he won. All right, sit down, sit down, sit down. Oh my goodness, I just love when people get moving. Got our blood flowing early this morning. Is everybody now ready for a good day? The blood is flowing. You feel that competition. Now it's easing away, and now you're going to be celebrating each other. We're going to be sharing. We're going to be laughing. We're going to be enjoying each other, and you all are going to be giving Henry some ideas for me and lunch. Off campus, somewhere good. I like Italian. All right. Well, Patricia, where are you, Patricia? Thank you so much for that very kind and generous introduction. I have had the privilege of knowing Patricia for probably about 8 or 9 months, as well as some of the other students that are on the cheering committee. I'm calling them cheering committee because that's what they did. They worked really hard to make sure you all were going to be here today. And I will share with you the biggest competition that we had was who has the best jollof rice. Is it Ghana? Or is it Nigeria? See, this is Sierra Leone. See, this is how they do me. So this is how I'm doing. So Henry, maybe we got to go get some jollof rice somewhere. All right, so we're going to get that going. But on behalf of the Office of Inclusive Excellence and Belonging and the Restorative Justice Commission Transformative Equity Grant Program, I just want to offer you a heartfelt thank you and welcome to coming out and attending and supporting this. I want to get the title right because this is absolutely amazing, the Black Diaspora Career and Care Summit. And I was looking at the program, I saw it was the inaugural. I like that. So that means that they have set a seed out. That means that this isn't the last time this is happening. I don't know where they're going to get the money next year, but they've planted a seed. So my colleague, Michael Johnson, who is in the room, and I co-chair the Restorative Justice Commission, and we are so excited and thrilled to see all of these transformative equity grant programs coming to fruition. Now let me say with you all that I know that I don't have to tell you how complicated and challenging today's social political climate is in America. And really, it's not just America, it is across the world. There are days when I want to be an ostrich. You all know what an ostrich does, right? I just want to put my head in the sand and the hole in the ground and ignore the chaos of all that is going on around me. But then, just like our conference organizers today, I remember who I am. I am the son, the grandson, the great-grandson, the great-great-grandson of those who trudged and toiled, even when things looked bleak, because they indeed saw the promise of tomorrow. Those who worked hard to put today's summit together embraced that promise. As you all know, putting on a program of this nature and quality does not happen overnight. What you will experience today is the culmination of weeks and months of planning, phone calls, emails, and meetings. So before I go further, I know that my colleague, Dr. Idowu, had a chance to call out those that were instrumental, but I want to just provide them with their kudos as well. So Adanna, Patricia, and Ray, thank you, and thank you. Thank you for giving us yourself. Thank you for giving your time and your talent. And we're going to claim those graduation robes in a couple of years. It may not be next week or week after, but we know we're going to get there. All right. Today is about empowering Black futures here at UMass Boston, and I would even go a little bit further and say and beyond, because UMass Boston is your step stool. It is getting you somewhere else. This summit also arrives at a pivotal time. We are collectively, as I said earlier, navigating the ongoing impact of social, racial, and economic injustice. But events like today offer us space to reflect, strategize, and prepare ourselves to be what I like to say and others, our ancestors' wildest dreams. As I look out over the room, I am in awe. I see current and future business leaders, nonprofit leaders, attorneys, physicians, educators, and community organizers. And I am so proud. I am proud to see you, and I am so proud to be a part of witnessing all that you are going to become. I'm also proud of this institution. For those of you all that are not familiar with UMass Boston, we were founded on the civil rights movement's idea of being rooted in the belief that education is a pathway to justice. That legacy lives in our mission to be an anti-racist and health-promoting institution. To our speakers that are here today with us from industry, to our speakers that are part of the UMass Boston family, faculty, staff, and students, let me say thank you. Thank you for being here today and sharing your time and your knowledge and expertise with us as we strive to embody and embrace our history and our mission as an institution. Now, to those of you who are in attendance, I also must say thank you to you. I know that on a Monday morning, you could have been someplace else. Perhaps you could have been in bed watching the remnants of SportsCenter. Perhaps for those of you all that are students, you could be getting those last couple of minutes or hours in of studying. Or perhaps you just wanted to get a little extra time sleeping. But you chose to be here, and I am just thankful for you. So let me share with you that you were in the right place and at the right time. You were at the right place and at the right time. Throughout the day, you will hear from some inspiring panels. You will participate, and notice I said participate. This is not your panelists or your presenters. This is engagement, just as we started off our morning. You will participate in workshops, and you will engage in networking, all action statements. All this to provide you with the tools and skills that you will need to succeed in today's and tomorrow's workplace. So my hope for you today is that this summit will spark connections and perhaps encourage lasting relationships. I like to use 3 words to give us a foundation. I learned these many, many years ago, and they have held true to me, and I hope that they will hold true to you. Again, I don't know why you chose to be here today, but for whatever your reason, I hope that you take each and every word, comment, connection, and use it to benefit not only this community, but also the communities you will ultimately go out and serve. This is an amazing season. Many of you all have been here at UMass for perhaps 2 years, 4 years, or 6 years, or maybe even more. But this is your season. This is your season to engage in scholarship, to engage in personal growth, to engage in getting to know the best of each other. So again, for whatever your reason is, I'm so proud that you are here. Take this season and do something with it. But one of the things that I am a firm believer in, and this is for those of you all that are soon to be UMass Boston alums in the next couple of weeks and or couple of years, there is one thing that will be with you forever. You are going to have a lifetime of celebrating being a beacon. I am thrilled that I joined this community about 10 months ago, and it has given me all that an employer could, because I get a chance to come in every single day and see the diversity of this campus community. When you walk the halls and the corridors or navigate the quad here on campus, you will see people from different faith traditions. You will see people from different gender identities, sexual expressions. You will see people that come from different parts of the United States, different parts of the country, and or that speak in various tongues. I want you to take every opportunity to get to know each and every person on this campus, because they too are here for the same reason. They're here for their season, and their lifetime is going to be just like yours. They're going to be beacons, and I want you all to connect. Because to me, the greatest value that we have here at UMass Boston is each and every one of you. It's our amazing faculty, it's our amazing staff, it's those that help to make sure that you are going to have the tools, as you are today, to go out and be successful in the world of work. So don't let today end. Today is, as we talked about earlier, planting a seed. We have a seed that has been planted to make sure that you are going to leave here and be successful. And let me say that it is always hard to give the son of a preacher a mic, so I'm going to close it. Again, welcome and enjoy this amazing day. This is a day of personal and professional growth, and I am so thrilled to be here with you and to be a part of it. And Henry, I look forward to my lunch or my dinner out. The joys of winning and wearing the crown. So thank you so much. All right.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hill. Thank you so much for that welcoming address. And so now I'm going to invite up Adanna, who will introduce our keynote speaker. Adanna Kalejaye.
Hello again. So we have the pleasure of having before us a guest speaker. I would like to read his bio, very impressive bio. So just permit me as I read through his very impressive bio. So Segun Idowu is the City of Boston's Chief Economic Opportunity and Inclusion Chief. In this position, he's focused on making Boston a resilient, economically equitable and vibrant city that creates opportunities to build generational wealth for all communities. Under his leadership, the City of Boston created a legacy business program honoring and supporting long-standing independent enterprise that make a strong contribution to the neighborhood of Boston. The city also implemented the Space Grant Program, supporting 90 businesses with expense related to new lease agreement. During his tenure, large companies like the Lego Company and Eli Lilly have committed to Boston, and the city has doubled the number of contracts awarded to minority-owned businesses. As a lifelong resident of Boston, Segun is a proud product of the Boston Public School following his graduation from Boston Latin Academy. He earned his Bachelor of Arts in History at the Morehouse College in Atlanta. In August 2014, Segun and his colleague, Shekia Scott, organized the Boston Police Camera Action Team to further accountability and safety in Boston through his mandatory use of police body-worn camera. In 2018, Segun was elected to serve as the first vice president for the Boston chapter of the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People, the first chapter of the oldest civil rights advocacy organization in the nation. In 2019, Segun left the NAACP board to join the board of the American Civil Liabilities Union, Massachusetts, and focus on other board obligations. He also advised initiatives at the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston and the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. Beginning in November 2018, Segun served as the president and CEO of the Black Economic Council of Massachusetts, BECMA, the chief advocacy organization for Black businesses across the Commonwealth. In this role, he helped transform the organization, including growing membership to 300% and helping to reshape the procurement process for Massachusetts. He worked with allies to file federal civil rights complaints against the city of Boston when reports showed the lack of contracts awarded to diverse small businesses. Segun stepped down from his role as BECMA CEO in December 2021 to join Wu's administration as the Chief Economic Opportunity and Inclusion Chief, beginning this role in January 3rd, 2022. Join me as we welcome Segun Idowu.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Wonderful. It's great to see all of you. I want to thank you very much for that introduction. I promise to be shorter than the introduction because I want to engage all of you in conversation. I want to thank the committee that put this together, Kiki, Adanna, Patricia, Rachel, so many others that helped to organize this. I appreciate the invitation. It's good to be back at UMass Boston. The last time I think actually I was in this room is when our now ancestor Nikki Giovanni was here last June, I think, to bless us, and I'm so grateful that we got that experience with her before she passed away, and so we'll always be grateful to UMass Boston for that. I want to thank Reverend Dr. Hill for the opening remarks here. It's like I knew you were somehow related to a preacher. I was waiting for the hoop at the end, but again, I'm so grateful to see all of you here with us this morning. I'm just going to say a little bit about some of the work that we've been doing. I want to impart some of my experiences with all of you, but like I said, I want to engage all of you more in Q&A. I'm better at talking with folks and answering questions than giving a speech, but I did bring some pictures with me, so that's going to be way better than staring at me. And I do promise to be brief. It was said to me one day, I heard this way long ago, that he who thinketh by the inch and speaketh by the yard should be kicketh by the foot. And so I'll be very, very brief with you. I do have some slides to bring to you all, and I want to thank the UMass Boston AV staff for helping me out. I did not tell folks in advance about this. I wanted to make things exciting this morning and make everyone run around to figure out making this happen. And so I am grateful to you all for working with me and helping to get these up. So again, I've had the pleasure for the last 1,231 days of serving as the Chief of Economic Opportunity and Inclusion for the City of Boston. It is the greatest privilege I've ever had as someone that grew up in the city to be able to make the impact that I've been able to make with so many of my colleagues. There are about 19,000 city employees who every day are working to make life better for 681,937 residents, of which many of you are those residents. And we hope we're doing a good job, and if we're not, I'll give you my card after and we can figure out how to fix it. But I was not always interested in this particular work. So this is a day when I was happy, You'll see, and I usually use this. People are like, "Aw," and just to get some credit, score some points with the audience. And then a year later, just I don't know what happened in life, but but was not always interested in being where I am right now. And given that I'm speaking in front of students, I always share. Whatever you're going through, many people will, as has been done already, and which I will do, and to say that you are not just our future, you're our present. We are very proud of you, and we're looking forward to all the success that you'll achieve beyond the success that you've already achieved here as a student. And I'll just take a moment to say that UMass Boston plays such a critical role in the work that I'm doing, thinking about this economy that we're in. As one of our greatest public research institutions, I'll say, in the hemisphere. It's always a delight to be here, and all of you are what make UMass Boston what it is today. But this person up above me, graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA, which is shocking, right? I mean, he's like, well, I earned it, first of all. Whatever your experience is like, it does not define your future. So even if it took you a couple of years to get to this graduation, or you're not graduating with the GPA that you wanted or desired, or that others desired for you, please just know that the degree is the piece of paper, it's the experience and the education that matter. And so again, I wish I was able to go tell that person up there with the giant afro the same thing. But what got me to where I am today, there were three particular people that had an impact on what makes me who I am today. The first was our dear brother, Malcolm X, who today we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of his birth. And towards the end of his life, I mean, really throughout his ministry, but towards the end of his life in particular, talked a lot about Black economic development, economic cooperation, taking control of one's community when it came to the economy and commerce, and it had a very profound impact on me as I was matriculating through Morehouse College, reading and listening to his speeches and imbibing of them to help direct me on my path forward. The second was Maynard Holbrook Jackson, the first Black mayor of a major American city post-Civil War. Of course, we'll take credit, he was a Morehouse man. But he is who laid the foundation for the work that we have done here in Boston when it comes to supplier diversity, which is ensuring that contracts are getting to all of the residents, not just one group in particular, which was true for a long time for many of our cities, including Boston. But he's the one who, as mayor, I don't know how many of you have been to Atlanta Airport, but before it became Jackson International, what it is today, it was just a little dirt path, and he's the one that helped to spur the development of the area. But when he became mayor, he said, I did not become mayor just for the title and the position. He said, I became mayor because I want to help my people in what was the capital of the KKK, in what was a center of trade and military advancement during the Civil War, that we are going to reverse that history, and we're going to be a place that actually helps Black people to thrive, and said that as mayor, all the contracts for this airport have to go through me, and at least 35% of these contracts are going to Black folk. And everyone tried to stop him, but in the end he won. And a lot of the Black millionaires that we talk about today, and the reason why Atlanta is what it is today, is because of those bold steps that he took. And I spent my 4 years learning a lot about him. And then finally, the third person is the gentleman in this picture, the Reverend Earl Wesley Lawson, 1945 graduate of Morehouse College himself, Louisiana born, pastored his first church in Memphis, Tennessee, came to Boston to go to seminary, and dug roots in Malden, where he pastored the Emmanuel Baptist Church. But as a student at Morehouse College, he developed a friendship with a gentleman at that time, or a young boy at that time, who went by the name of Michael. And they developed a friendship, but after graduation, his father had already changed their name, but began to go by what the name was changed to in the record, both of their names, to Martin Luther. And they continued that friendship as this person was here in Massachusetts and worked with Virgil Wood and Vernon Carter to start the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Massachusetts chapter. They led the 1965 Freedom Rally to the Boston Common, which we just celebrated with Embrace Boston a couple of weeks ago. And I grew up learning a lot about this man and all that he did, but mostly because I got to call him Grandpa. And so I learned a lot about what happened during the Civil Rights Revolution that many of us don't read in our history books, and given the time that we're in, we probably will never read about in our history books. But what was important was all the learnings that I developed in understanding the strategies that were taken by our forebears and those who are still with us today to get the advancements that we have today and that are guides for our future. There's one thing that my grandfather left with me, which I've taken with me everywhere I go, and many folks know this before I even start speaking. It's a quote that folks have heard me say everywhere. Before he passed away, I remember something was on TV, I can't remember, it had to do with President Obama at that time, and I remember my grandfather hearkening back to the past saying something along the lines of that we have to stop confusing motion with progress. And at that time, it was just a thing that he said. It wasn't like a sat there like, wow, that was deep, and let's talk more about that. It was like screaming at the TV, essentially. But I remember a couple of years later, especially, that was January of my senior year, my last semester, or December that he said that, and then he died the following month. I remember trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, and I remember that statement really coming back to me as I reflected on my time with him later on, and thinking about what is my role, what should I be doing with my life, and that's what brought me back here to the city of Boston. And my bio has been read. I won't go through all the things that I've done, but one of the major impacts that statement and the lives and work of those three individuals and many other mentors and historical figures have had on me is the shaping of our cabinet. So you heard it said that my title is the Chief of Economic Opportunity and Inclusion. That is a very long name, and most people can't remember it. We used to be called the Office of Economic Development, and when I joined, we changed our name for two reasons. One is because of our love affair with vowels, and so now we're known as the EIEIO Cabinet. But you'll remember us, right? But very truly and seriously, we changed our name because we understand that, especially Mayor Wu, and who encouraged the change, that the development of some communities cannot coexist with the underdevelopment of other communities. That the seaport will never reach its full potential in all ways if Mattapan remains underdeveloped. Or the Back Bay will never reach its full potential if Roxbury or East Boston or Hyde Park remain underdeveloped. And so all of the work that we're doing is to ensure that we are, as you heard it said in the vision, that we are creating opportunities to build generational wealth, because we don't want to be talking about this anymore 50 years from now, right? The struggle is not something we want to keep alive. We want to win. We want to get across that finish line to the promised land that King talked about and just live in abundance with all of our fellow human beings. So all the work that we're doing is to help get us on that path, especially in a city like Boston, and we do this across 5 different departments. So our Office of Tourism, our Office of Supplier Diversity, the Office of Small Business, the Office of Licensing, and then the actual Economic Opportunity and Inclusion team. I can't see that far ahead, but I'll just say that it includes a lot of the work around business strategy. We just celebrated Lego opening the other day. This is the team that brings them on, cannabis equity. Our Office of Nightlife Economy, we're taking suggestions on how to make Boston more fun, so feel free to share with me. But all this work that we're doing lives under this vision that was shared with you, and that's some of the leadership right there, folks of color leading this work to help advance the 24th largest economy here in the United States. Everything we do, however, is centered on racial equity. The Office of Equity and Inclusion delivered their definition of equity, and we adopted that, but everything we do is under the framework of racial equity. Why? Because we know that when we are focused on people of color, particularly Black communities, everybody benefits from the policies, the practices, the programs that are developed focused on these communities. We also know that that's true because it has never worked in the reverse. And the reason we're talking about the disparities is because we have never truly been focused on addressing these issues for the long term, which is the moment that we're in right now. That every time we do focus on these communities or developing these programs and practices, there is an immense pushback, and then we have to start all over again to move ourselves forward. And so the other reason we do this is because we're backed up by data. So in 2020, Citigroup put out a report reviewing the racial disparities just between black and white households. And what they found was that because of America's warm embrace of systemic racism, that the nation lost out on $16 trillion of wealth that could have been added to our economy since the year 2000, okay? So, you know, racism costs in the negative here in this country, and that's just between black and white households. So you can only imagine when you add other marginalized groups to this equation and what that figure truly is on what this nation is losing out on, because there are groups of people who want to feel as if they are better than or can dominate others, when it's actually more lucrative to ensure that everybody has access to the same pie. But that's America. So what does that have to do with us? Well, let's think about Massachusetts. The next year, Massachusetts Taxpayer Foundation, which is not known as a liberal organization, they put out a report detailing the impacts of systemic racism between black and white households. And they found that if we were to close the racial wealth gap across just a few different sectors, that we close that gap tomorrow, we'd add $25 billion to the state's economy over the next 5 years. So we're not doing this out of charity. We're not doing this because it's socially and morally good and makes us feel gooey inside that we're, you know, saying Black Lives Matter and we're in community. This is also an economic imperative, that if we are not focused on these things, we all lose out. And so that's why our work every day is to help push these things forward. We do this in a couple of ways on our team. I'll move quickly through these. You heard it mentioned, the Space Grant Program, one of our hallmark programs, $10 million, ARPA funded, 90 folks got up to $200,000 to help folks move anywhere across the city. So you'll see that we had around 1,000 folks apply. 75% of the folks who got this money were people of color, 60% women, 20% identify as immigrant. The point of this program was to help get small businesses to areas of the city that you don't see this diverse ownership. So thinking of our Back Bay, our Seaport, our downtown, as well as other neighborhoods of the city. And even though that's really great, what's important about this, you see that last line, right? This is how we're looking at the impact. So yes, we helped some businesses move and open up, you know, their first or second or third location, but our folks are creating jobs. And those jobs are usually from folks in the community and usually identify with the identity of the business owners, right? So when black folk open up their businesses in black communities, it's black folk that are working at these businesses. And even when these black folk open up their businesses in downtown, they're hiring black folk because they got to go back and live in these communities. And so, you know, for us, the purpose of this is, yes, to help folks chase after their dreams, but also we are also giving opportunities and helping others chase their dreams, because these businesses are paying livable wages, they're providing benefits, so many other things that are helping to transform our communities. Next thing, so supplier diversity. I mentioned Mayor Jackson. There was a report that came out when I was still at BECMA that is called a disparity study that reviewed 5 years of contracts, 47,000 of them, about $2 billion worth of contracts. And that study found that that less than, well, you know, formatting could have been better on my part. But what it showed is that less than 1% of those contracts over the whole 5 years went to black businesses, less than 1% went to Latino businesses. I think it was 0.4 and 0.8 respectively. You get to whole numbers by accident, okay? So for us, when I was at BECMA, you know, our team, our board, our membership were like, this is clearly the way the system was made, right? So, because this has to happen on purpose. And so what did we do? Well, we sued the city, which was a very awkward thing because that was in 2021. And then Mayor Wu won the election, and then she asked me to come into this role, and the lawsuit was still going. So after I said yes and came over, my first official meeting with an external entity was me on one side of the table with the corporation counsel of the city and the new president of BECMA on the other side of the table with their people talking about this lawsuit that I had filed about the city not doing a great job on procurement. So very, very weird meeting. And of course, I've recused myself, et cetera, for any lawyers or whatever that's watching. But this was, this was terrible in a city, that claims to be this paragon of virtue, and we won the Civil War, so we're good on race relations. And then we think about the 70s. So this was not great. But because of the focus on this issue, right? It's not enough to just say that we care about an issue. You got to focus your policies, programs, et cetera, on these. We got to say last year, in just 1 year, more than $100 million worth of contracts paid out to businesses owned by people of color, particularly black businesses. The reason why that matters is because that 0.8 and 0.4% translated to $32 million over that 5-year period. We're talking about 3 times that in just 1 year, okay? And that same year, contracts valued at $225 million were also awarded to businesses owned by people of color. That means that over the next few years, that 225 is going to be paid out to all these contractors who are doing this work. So again, that's what happens when you focus on an issue. I'll end with these particular examples on this work. We care about ownership. So we are launching a program later this year called the Commercial Acquisition Assistance Program, which is going to help businesses owned by anybody in neighborhoods at risk of gentrification, small business owners to own their property, because in the city of Boston, the people of Boston do not own their land. And so we want to help change that narrative. And finally, especially for those of you, looking for jobs, we care deeply about the future workforce of this city. And we are focused on 2 areas in particular: life sciences as well as climate resilience. And in 2022, the mayor launched a $10 million initiative focused on getting particularly people of color into the life science industry, whether you have a degree or not, because this is an industry that very, very few people of color are actually in at all levels. And the same is true for climate tech and climate resilience. And so later this year, we're going to launch another $10 million program, the Climate Resilience Business and Workforce Development Center, because it's not just about the jobs. We also want to help people start businesses in these sectors. And that doesn't mean that you got to be, know everything about climate or life science. You could be in marketing. You could be in communications. You can be on the legal side, right? Your business, though, can still have an element in these industries, so we want to work with you on that. Now, everything I've said, though, and Reverend Dr. Hill brought this up, the social environment that we're in, all of this is under threat by the current administration. The day after the election, me and several colleagues printed out all 913 pages of Project 2025, because as much as the current president said, oh, that has nothing to do with me, I don't know anything about it, never read it, never heard of it, they're literally doing everything that's in this document. And it has been a helpful guide, because everything I just talked about, all the equity stuff that we're doing, and I want to pause and say thank you, UMass Boston, because when so many are retreating and trying to use different words to talk about the same thing, I can't tell you how grateful I was to get an invitation to something called the inaugural, right, use black, so that's already makes you a target. And you said we're doing it anyway, because we are clear about who we're with, who we're supporting, who makes up our community, and this is important to us. And so, the city of Boston isn't backing down, and the way we know that is that we've got partners like you at UMass Boston who are helping to advance that idea, because that's how the country's going to be better. So the policies and the practices of our president, this administration, they're harming the 5 major pillars of the city's economy. This is not to scare any of you, but just to be real. They're attacking the meds, they're attacking our small businesses, they're attacking the eds, they're attacking life science, they're attacking clean energy, the policies, you just see the budget that they put out, right? They want to cut SNAP. Inflation is going up, prices are going up on goods and services, the tariffs are having an impact. All these things are harming the city's economy, our tourism, and it is going to boost poverty in this area. But I think what is important, especially for young people, for black folks, for all of our allies everywhere, it's important to remember that this is not our first rodeo. I mean, everyone's kind of nervous and scared and looking around and what's going to happen. History is our guide, because this is not the first time this has happened to black people, to people of color, to marginalized communities in this country. We've been here before. When black people were emancipated in 1863 and 1865, we had absolutely nothing. Zilch. You know, we were promised 40 acres and a mule, and we ain't seen either one of them. We had no money. We had no federal commitments from the banks, no commitments to education, but we used each other, found each other, and using the resources that we had, you know, we developed our own communities, built our own schools, our own churches, taught our own kids, and developed our own communities. And we saw that, you know, elected our own people, saw that throughout our history. But then we had the period of the nadir, where you had sundown towns, right? Saying, ain't no point in coming here. You had the birth of the KKK in the late 1800s. You had the Confederacy monuments, you know, being put up all around the country celebrating the losers of the Civil War and the losing ideas and ideals of the Civil War. You had coups d'etats happening in cities where there was black majority political leadership. And you had the period of disenfranchisement, of making it harder to get the vote. And then in the 20th century, not too long ago, you had civil rights, voting rights, fair housing, more equity, more money coming to our communities. You had all these electoral successes with people, I just mentioned Maynard Jackson, Shirley Chisholm, so many black leaders coming into Congress and dominating our cities, being named to governor and presidential cabinets. You had Supreme Court representation finally. You had, but then it's followed by period of crack cocaine, drugs flooding into our communities. The prison industrial complex. Here at home, our experience with busing. So many of these things happening. The historian and author Carol Anderson refers to this as white rage, that every time that there's a period of black advancement, there is this broader feeling and animus amongst the white power structure, white supremacy, to push back on that advancement and to not let it continue or be successful. But as I said, we must let history be our guide. History has not had its final hour. And it's also important to remember that we are not descended from a fearful people. The fact that we are here today shows that we are survivors. Slavery should have destroyed all of us, our forebears, but it didn't. We pushed through and we survived. We found all these different ways to make it through and to get to where we are today. This was a funny thing that popped up when the mayor went to DC and, you know, politely crushed all of the Republican opponents who tried to come for Boston. But you can't bring hell to Boston, right? It was here before you got here. And so we're ready for whatever. But again, I just always make it a point to remind folks that, the Reverend Charles Adams actually went through a litany where he said, show me an FDR and I'll show you an A. Philip Randolph, right? Show me a Woodrow Wilson and I'll show you an Ida B. Wells. Show me a Dwight David Eisenhower, I'll show you an Adam Clayton Powell. Show me a JFK, I'll show you an MLK. Show me a Richard Nixon, I'll show you a Barbara Jordan. Show me a Ronald Reagan, I'll show you a Jesse Jackson. Show me a Donald Trump and his crew, and I'll show you all the folks who are in this room right here, who are striving and pushing back and ensuring prosperity for our city and our communities. History matters because the hope and prayers and works of a people can change and have changed the direction of humanity. History, as I said, has not had its final hour. It's proven over and over again. Our readiness to meet any challenge, always standing tall, never shrinking in, our feet firmly planted on the ground. And let me say to you that despite the difficulties of the moment, as we heard Dr. King say many years ago, however frustrating the hour, it will not be long before we see the fruits of our labor. We will continue to push back and fight back We're not backing down from our commitment to DEI, as the city has expressed, as you've expressed with this gathering, this summit. And I just say that in this moment, my advice to you, number one, is stay black. I mean, and it's unfortunate, but we got to be reminded, stay black. Don't let folks try to put you in a box or make you one way or whatever. You are who you are. You are what has made you, what is grounding you, what is around you, what your experiences have been. You are black. You were black when you were born. Same will be true when you go back to glory, right? But stay black, because who you are is what makes our communities what they are, the abundance that we live in already and that we are striving to maintain and build on. I'd also say that, as I said earlier, as graduates or soon-to-be graduates, your experiences are what matter. Your education, what you're learning is what matters. The degree is fine, and it'll get you into some rooms, and it'll get you whatever jobs and whatever salary. But even if you lose all those things, if you don't have those things, what matters is the education that you're gaining, not just through the books, but the experiences. And that's what our communities need. They don't need your degree, they need your experience, they need your involvement. And so my charge to you, which you'll hear in every graduation message, is to go back to the communities that birthed you and gave you this experience and brought you these opportunities and had your back and have your back, because our communities do need you, especially in this time that we're in right now. Everything that you might have read about the 1960s and 70s, the 1930s and 40s, the late 1800s, Prince Hall back in the 1700s, this is our history now. We are the history makers. And so what are they going to write about you and about the community that you're involved in, about how you pushed back against tyranny and ensured that there was a democracy and a thriving economy for our children and grandchildren to inherit? Finally, I'll just say, Sojourner was right in saying that truth is powerful and it does prevail. Dr. King was right in saying that if the inexpressible cruelties of slavery could not stop us, then the opposition we now face will surely fail. James Baldwin was right in saying that we forged ourselves through this fire, and if we could do that, then we can deal with what now lies before us. And Kendrick Lamar, that great prophet, before he told us who we were not like, once told us that we've been hurt before. I got any Kendrick fans out here? We've been down before. What did he say after that? Y'all don't be listening to Kendrick. He said, we're gonna be all right. And so I leave that with you, that we are gonna overcome. I don't wanna keep having to sing that song, but we are gonna overcome. There's gonna be a day where we will say that we have overcome and that we shall endure this day and forevermore. So I thank you all for this opportunity, and I look forward to engaging you in questions. Thank you. So I have been asked to stand and answer some questions. Happy to do that. But also, if none are given, this will be the greatest press conference I've ever had in my career.
Thank you so much, Chief Idowu. And so, yeah, we have about 10, 15 minutes of Q&A, and so let's go. Yes.
Listen, this ain't a question. This ain't a question. Brother, okay, let me tell you something. Look at this, all right? That's all I got.
Woo! We all feel the same way. Thank you. Any other questions, students? Yes?
Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm graduating this semester.
Congratulations.
I'm a psych student. I'm already in the field of psychology. I work for Children's Services of Roxbury right now.
Led by a Spelman woman.
Yes. So I do want to further my career in psychology. I also want to be in the positions that some of you guys are in, making policy, helping out in that way. You mentioned your GPA in high school, right?
Yeah.
I can relate to that. Mine wasn't that low, but it was like around the same.
She said that's your
around
problem.
the same.
But
No, but it was around the same. So for a very long time, I am also an immigrant. I'm from Haiti, and language was hard for me, speech was hard for me, and so I didn't really thrive in high school, and even in college, it was the same way. Even now, like, I barely made it, but I still made it. But I just want to ask you, like, the fear of lack of knowledge is something that follows me a lot. That I fear that I cannot be in the positions you are, like, up there speaking and giving out information like this,
Yeah.
which is where I do want to be. So basically my question is, like, how do you get past that fear, and where do you go to, like, be in the position that you are right now, and
Yeah.
like, what is the next step, basically?
Yeah. And I'll condense it to imposter syndrome, right? And how do you get beyond that? So let me first say too, because I didn't go into this too deeply. Well, and actually even before that, let me just say, so my father's Nigerian, and my mother is African American. So on behalf of both, we are grateful to our people in Haiti. First freedom fighters, right? And and you know, Nigerian roots. So I didn't delve too much into. I jumped, right? You know, 1.9, and now I'm chief. It's like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that happened in between that. This is not where I wanted to be. In fact, when I was in college, I studied history. I didn't want to do anything, maybe law, maybe teach. Numbers? No, at all, not. And that's actually what kept my GPA low. I was bad at math. But I will say that I kept myself open to opportunities because I've seen these opportunities as chances to learn rather than only thinking like I need to prepare for 20 years and then go into a thing, right? So I'm in the role that I'm in right, well, I can't speak for the mayor. The mayor can give you her answer as to why she asked me to be here. And there are some people who still ask, why did she ask him to be there? But what I brought with me was my experience, my deep knowledge and roots in my community. The fact that I spent many years working with small businesses and understanding their challenges, and I had a record of success in advocating for them and delivering for them. I did not get asked to be in this role because I have a degree in economics and worked on Wall Street and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I don't have any of that experience. So first, let me just tell you, I have imposter syndrome every day, because I'm in the room with Wall Street folks and CEOs of major corporations. And, you know, I was on the phone with the CEO of Lego to talk about why you should come to Boston. I mean, you know, like, I don't have degrees to be able to talk about that. However, I know what I know. And I know that if I'm not in the room, then the things that I'm fighting for or the perspective that I have very likely are not going to get brought up. And that is the value that I bring. A lot of the spaces I go in, I'm often either the only or one of like two or three, not black people, but people of color in general, right? So I would say, you know, it may not be something that goes away ever. I think you'll also find that, I think what helps me through it is I know that there are other people who are older than me, who do have the degrees, who have been in this for many more years, who also have imposter syndrome. Because I've heard that from mentors, right? And so I think it's more so focus on what makes you you, get all the knowledge you can for yourself, and never think that because you don't know something someone else doesn't know, that means that you're not supposed to be in that role or in that room. Because the reason you have that role or in that room is because you are who you are. So I hope that's helpful. But we're all here to have your back, you know, so. I see a question back there.
Hi, so I have a background in education and mental health, and there's been a lot of discussion about education and public education. BPS has gone through quite an evolution. This past year, some schools have either closed or been condensed, and education can be a tool to either uplift or oppress. So I just wanted to find out more information or more of your reflective thoughts on what Boston can do in order to improve its educational system as a whole.
Okay, that is a political question. No, well, what I mean, I'm half making a joke, but also this actually is turning into a press conference. So, on the state of BPS. So again, I as a proud graduate, I think that I think Mary Skipper, who's the current superintendent, has been doing a fantastic job. I say that without any political airs. I understand the role that I'm in, but as someone that went through the system, I've seen the changes that she's made, and I have been all for them. I think that they're important. And that includes the consolidation of our schools, because what you had was a lot of near empty buildings. And that's not healthy for the system, because that means we're spending money on maintaining these buildings, which could be money that we're using to educate our kids. And so it's always a tough conversation, right? Because this idea of closing a school makes it, the way people receive that information is, oh my God, now these kids are not going to have access to good education. But that's not what's happening. I mean, people are being actually dispersed to where their neighborhood schools, and we're finding other ways to repurpose these buildings for education. So on that front, I'll just say that I do support that we have to go that route. That said, we have a lot of work to do for Boston Public Schools. I can't say that, I mean, we might have the best education in the country, but that doesn't, I mean, you can be the best, that doesn't mean you're the greatest, right? I mean, you got to think of who you're comparing yourself to. So we have a lot of work to do. I would say that we would I certainly invite, especially the outside perspective, because I'm on one side of it, and so I'm seeing and in some of these conversations, but I don't know how they're experienced. So I guess, to your question about, I think your question was like, how do I see it? How do I experience it? What's my opinion on it? I know that our work at EOI has been to integrate ourselves into BPS, because I have seen as one of the issues, people operate in silos in government. And so for BPS, it's like they are their own entity, right? And they go do whatever. But as the Economic Development Cabinet, when we want to think about financial empowerment, which means not just teaching someone how to use money, but giving them the money to practice with, or preparing kids for the future growth sectors that we're focused on. I have a vision, I mean, I shouldn't be saying this out loud or, in a recording, but whatever. But like, I have a vision of, I want any kid in BPS that wants to start a business by the time they graduate to be able to do that. I want to help you be an entrepreneur. I want to help you be certified. I want to help you get a contract with the city, right? By the time you're 18 or 19, to get you to understand, because I'll say the reason why a lot of our folks don't get a lot of the opportunities at the city is because we don't know. We don't know the process. We don't find out until we're 40, 50 when we decide to go that route. So anyway, just to say that a lot of work to do. I think we are moving in the right direction. And certainly on our side, we've been working to further integrate our work into BPS so that there's alignment in how we're moving forward versus these two separate paths. I hope that answered your question. You can let me know if I didn't answer it. Yeah. Okay. And then I think there's someone right behind.
Yeah, hello. First of all, good morning. My name is James Frater. I just want to thank you for, firstly, and this isn't to be patronizing, I think you're an excellent speaker. Just your deliveries were engaging and just very well presented, so I appreciate that, because some presentations put me to sleep, so I appreciate you. I have 2 points and then I have a question at the end, and I promise to make it brief. The first point is actually to the young lady who asked the question. I actually don't believe imposter syndrome is real. I think that systems aren't inclusive enough, and so the onus isn't on you to kind of get rid of a syndrome that you have. It's more so on the environment to become more inclusive. And actually, I think if you've come into a situation with less, or you believe that you are the only one in a room, or you like look different, sound different, or are different, I think that makes you exceptional. It doesn't give you a syndrome, and I think it's that reframing that has really been helpful for me, kind of throughout my journey. And if you want to hear more about that, come to my session. The second point I made was I was really grateful for the message of hope. I think I've been in a lot of rooms and a lot of conversations where it's been very kind of like panicky, reactive, and very sort of the world's ending. And I guess to your point, ancestors. So I'm actually originally from Jamaica. I know my accent doesn't tell you that, but I did grow up in Jamaica, and all I know is kind of resistance and power and thriving in kind of the face of adversity. And so to kind of see you echo that was really powerful, and also the story you told was beautiful as well. The question I have for you is, while you kind of fight the good fight and while you do all these things in Boston, like, how do you center care in kind of your work? Because that's part of the conference or the summit today. So how do you look after yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, I get asked that question all the time, and I never have a good answer. And I should stay to learn more. But for those who may not have heard it, the question essentially is, how do you center care while doing all this work, in the fight and in the struggle? Unfortunately for me, it's only in the small moments that I'm able to, find the care. I mean, I completely agree with the fact that people need to make time, cool off, decompress, find moments of joy, et cetera. And I keep telling myself that I've not done a great job of doing that all the time. But the ways that I have done so, even in the small moments, are, who I'm giving my space to. So what people am I hanging out with, it could be folks that are in the work with me, and we find moments of joy to decompress. I love supporting our small businesses, so you'll find me at one of our restaurants, a couple times a week, and that's how I do constituent services. But it's also like how I'm engaging with people, and then there's also taking time to I have a dog, so walking the dog. My phone's usually on D&D, so that's some alone time to think. Reading for fun as opposed to all the reports and emails. So there are little moments that I try to find the joy, but I have no problem admitting I can always do better. But it's a good question, and I'll try to have a good answer next time someone asks me that.
Yeah, I have a question.
Last question. I'll take yours, and then.
Why don't you ask both of them together, and then I'll answer them.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So your some of your last words of "stay black, be black." That's a very wonderful encouragement for us who are black people. But as wonderful as that sentiment is, it could also be very limiting for people, especially when you're in spaces where people think your blackness is too much, or where the resources, opportunities available for to black people are limited. I give example with BPS, right? Areas where the predominantly black people, the resources for people, especially for special education, might not be as robust as in spaces or areas or communities where they're predominantly white people. So when people want to embrace their blackness, but they know that there's a disparity, right? And you need to tone down your blackness in order to be accessible, in those spaces to get the resources or the opportunities you get. It's quite, it's quite a challenge for people. How do they embrace their blackness when the system is already, limiting for you as a black person, and you want to up your chances to succeed, especially if you're a parent and you have children? How, it's kind of, how do you balance that,
Okay, I know I said it twice, but I am going to answer that. So I would say that I reject the premise of the country that I need to not be myself in order to succeed, because I have never heard it said that a white person has to tone down their whiteness in order to succeed in the country. If anything, they need to amplify it more, because that's how they get opportunities, right? So I don't know that I am the best person to give advice on how to not be who you are, because I do not accept the premise that I need to be less than myself in order to be acceptable to get access to opportunities. And I'll just put myself as the example. I'm black, blackity black, 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 everywhere, all the time. And somehow, and it's actually as a result of that I've had access to opportunities. So I would say this, that, it might be more of an internal thing of that's being wrestled with, because this country does everything it can to make us ashamed of our blackness. And so I would just say that it's important to ground yourself in who you are, what you are, et cetera, so that when there is that adversity coming against you that's saying you're being too much, you need to tone down, et cetera, to push back and be strong in yourself, that no, I'm bringing something to the table. It's my knowledge, it's my experience, et cetera, that's getting me here, that's going to help me be successful here. That's all you can rest on. Because I'm telling you, you give away part of yourself, it's very tough to get it back. So you got to be who you are. So I would just say, don't accept the premise, I guess is my point. And yes, disparities exist, but the purpose of the work that we're doing is to eliminate those disparities. And we will not eliminate them if we take a step back from being ourselves. So I would just say, we got to be strong. But I'll take your question as well.
Yeah, so my name's Michael. I'm a graduating undergraduate. And for the last 3 years, a very important community for me was the HIII diversity community. It's a community that was, it was like a fellowship that helped push underrepresented minorities into the tech space. And as kind of what we've been talking about with the new administration, unfortunately the HIII diversity fellowship was terminated. It was, it's no longer going to be a thing. We had our last fellowship this spring due to companies dropping out, the new DEI initiatives from the new administration, and as well as the tariffs. So I guess my question is, when we have our communities kind of under attack like this and they're kind of falling apart, what advice would you give to people trying to pick up those pieces and move forward?
Yeah, so I'll say two things. And it was tough to see the news that HIII Diversity was closing. It's been a very important program. I remember when it was started, I was very close with the founder before she moved to New York. And so tough to see that happen. I will say this is a time where we're learning who our friends are, because as soon as this federal administration came into play, all of a sudden people started hiding and, we got to, it's like now we're finding out who's really down for the cause. And so, but I would say, as I said in my comments, when we were, at least when African Americans were emancipated in this country, we had nothing. We have way more than nothing today. And so when I was in my last year at BECMA, and certainly in my role now, I've been very focused on how Black folks help to stabilize and sustain Black institutions, because you can only rely on other support for but so long, right? We have to invest in ourselves and in our own institutions. So I would say, if someone is thinking about starting a version of HIII Diversity within the community, we need to be talking about how we find those who have the resources within our community to help sustain them. It's the only way we're going to navigate the time that we're in. We cannot rely solely on outside support to support us. We got to invest in ourselves too. So, and I'm happy to chat about that. Yeah. All right. Thank you all very much. Hope you have a great rest of the summit.
Thank you so much. That was good. Thank you so much. How about that for a keynote? Please give me a round of applause for Chief Idowu. Thank you so much, Chief Idowu. That was really inspiring, knowledgeable, fantastic, just really fantastic. Thank you. All right. Just before lunch, or not before lunch, before the breakout sessions, I'd like to invite up Dr. Michael Johnson, my colleague. He is the Senior Advisor for Black Life in the Office of the Chancellor. So Michael, please come up and say some comments. Yeah.
Well, good morning. My name is Michael Johnson. I'm a professor in the Department of Public Policy and Public Affairs here at UMass Boston. My title is Special Assistant to the Chancellor for Black Life. I've learned that I don't advise the Chancellor. I do what he thinks and the senior leadership thinks to help improve quality of life on and off campus for Black faculty, staff, and students here at UMass Boston. I want to thank a couple people that came before me. First, to Kiki Edozie, Professor Edozie. She's done so much to support today's event, and she's done so much as a leader at UMass Boston, and she's done so much for my professional development. Thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge the amazing student organizers for today's event, including Patricia Naya, doctoral candidate in UMass Boston's PhD program in Organizations and Social Change, and Adanna Kalejaye, who I co-advise as a doctoral candidate in the Public Policy PhD program, and Rachel Inegbion, doctoral candidate as well. So their energy, creativity, and professionalism are second to none. I also want to acknowledge Calvin Hill for his great remarks and the activity that he did. I've never been part of a rock, paper, scissors room-wide competition. It was great. Calvin is my boss, pardon me. He's the person to which I have a dotted line relationship, and he has taught me so much as a career administrator, to me not a career administrator. And to Segun Idowu for your fantastic remarks. I took notes, and I'm so inspired. Thank you very much. I'd like to connect this event to the Restorative Justice Commission. So one of my responsibilities as special assistant has been to co-chair the Restorative Justice Commission with Dr. Hill. And I want to make sure that we know what it stands for. Its goal is to assist UMass Boston with assessing campus climate, contributing to the development of a strategic plan, recommending strategies for strategic plan implementation, and advising decision makers on matters of policy and procedure. It has 18 members. Patricia Naya is one of them. And what it does is recognize and address harm and build community through healing. This involves challenging conversations about what's working and what's not working at our institution to enable all of our members to do their best work and be their best selves. I'd like to give two anecdotes that amplify the need for today's event. During this year's Black History Month activities, I helped organize a kickoff event with tables staffed by organizations at UMass Boston and elsewhere. And one of these tables was supposed to feature representatives from local employers seeking student interns and new employees. At the start of the event, we learned that the employees decided not to staff the table. They didn't give a reason, but we inferred that it was a result of new presidential administration's opposition to anything related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So all of the students who came to this kickoff event with resumes to share with potential employers had nobody to meet with. And that was a message directly to all of us that things had changed. Later that month, after the U.S. Department of Education's Dear Colleague letter stated threats to university DEI operations, and the administration proclaimed its desire to implement its anti-immigrant policies in Boston, I had numerous conversations with Black students who shared their fear of having their educations disrupted through federal actions. Increasingly, and in spite of the best efforts of UMass Boston's leaders, many of us have felt under threat and fearful about our futures as scholars, teachers, students, and activists. There have been other recent events. There was a workshop titled Beyond Mere Survival, a Restorative Justice and Holistic Wellbeing Retreat, also funded by the RJC and directed by my colleague, Samantha Erskine. And Black Health Early Detection Expo with Delta Sigma Theta sorority that represents strong actions to support the health and well-being of our community during these troubling times. I think today's activity addresses multiple issues of concern to our students: preparing for the job market, succeeding in the job market, and post-graduation pathways. This event conveys that students need many different supports to succeed in a post-DEI climate. We have a strong and committed community of practitioners, leaders, and advocates who support your career success. Even if this country was not always built for our success, and some feel threatened by our success, we know that as we receive our academic credentials, build our networks, and start our careers, our success will benefit us, our community, and the nation as a whole. Please take to heart the words of our distinguished speakers, and panelists, and be sure to connect with them and the organizations they represent after today's event. Just by being here, you've made today's event a success. But even more than that, I hope you will feel increased confidence in career and immigration navigation, and all that who are seeking internships, jobs, or immigration guidance will find the resources you seek. I wish you the best for today's activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Thank you so much. Okay, you might think it's lunchtime, and it is almost, but that's going to be an hour, because we are here to do work. And now I'd like to introduce the two keynote facilitators of two key workshops, and also give you instructions on how to get downstairs to those workshop rooms. So can I have Patricia, Naya, and I believe it's Ray, who are taking us down. I'm first going to introduce the keynote facilitators, and I'll start with Matthew Casey. Matthew Casey, please, if you could just stand up so that we can know. Matthew Casey is an Associate Director of the Graduate Career Services at Tufts University. He provides career advising to graduate students in arts and sciences, engineering, and the School of the Museum of Fine Arts. And he is also a certified professional career coach with 35 years of experience helping students and professionals and organizations making well-informed strategic decisions in a modern job market. Today, his abstract of the workshop that he will be facilitating is called Navigating the Modern Academic Job Market, Strategic Approaches, and all that. And so Matthew's room is going to be in room 2540, which is downstairs, and I believe it's Patricia who will be taking him, and whoever of the students wants to go to that workshop will take you downstairs to that room. It's room 2545. Okay, so Patricia's over there. You can line up over there, and she'll take you down with Matthew so that you can have that workshop, which will be for about an hour. The second workshop, parallel workshop, is run by Ange Richard. If you could stand up, please. Ange, a LinkedIn top voice, founder of Professionally Unprofessional. And she's also a TED speaker. Ange Richard, who uses pronouns she, her, and hers, bridges generational gaps at the workplace as a sought-after Gen 2 career coach. Currently pursuing her own PhD at Boston College, she combines academic insight with practical lived experiences to guide early career professionals through competitive communities of today's intergenerational workforce. She's also a career coach and special projects leader at Boston University, and she supports strategic initiatives while providing personalized career guidelines and guidance for emerging professionals. And her abstract is going to be about all that. And so she will be with Ray. Where's Ray? Ray is right behind you there in room 2540, which is the right next door. So if you want to go to that workshop, please line up behind Ray and Richard, who will take you downstairs. And so everyone has to go into workshops, either one or two, because we're breaking, and we'll come back and reconvene at about 1 o'clock, 12:45 actually, 12:45 to have lunch, okay? And join our luncheon speaker. So even if you're just a guest, you might want to choose a workshop.